Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Snow. I'm a business relationship consultant for female entrepreneurs. But what does that even mean? I get that a lot. Basically, it means that I help you be better at networking, but not networking in the traditional sense that most people hear and are like, ew, I hate that. I don't want to do it. Networking really at its core is about creating genuine connections and authentic relationships intentionally, and then using those relationships, leveraging them to grow your business in a way that is fun and fast and simple. And that's what I help you do. Whether you want to do it on social media, you want to do it through blog posts, you want to do it through public speaking, however you are choosing to market and sell your business, at the core is about creating connections and relationships. And I help you do that better so that you can make more money faster. And I help you do it in a community of other supportive, like-minded, positive, incredibly insightful, intelligent women in the Powerful Women Rising community. So if you'd love to learn more about that, definitely check out the link in the show notes and listen to the outro of this podcast for a special offer. All right, let's dive into today's episode. Today's episode makes me giggle a tiny bit because it was the second episode that I recorded of this podcast. And it's always hard to listen to yourself anyway, but when you listen to yourself on this second episode, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so different as a host on episode 25 than I am on episode 2. Anyway, bear with me because today's guest is incredible and the content she shares is super valuable. Today, I'm interviewing Antoinette Logan. She's an international author, an educator, a public speaker. She is a multifaceted media professional with over 15 years of experience in public relations, social, digital, and print media, sales, branding, and marketing. She's the go-to for all of that. She's the CEO of the Altered Image Company, a creative company focused on brand development and lead generation strategies, and also the founder and chief product officer of the Iconic Speakers Network, where she provides foundational tools for success and helps members expand their brand globally while learning the secret to public speaking using PPP strategies for success. Dang, she's a busy lady. So what are PPP strategies? Well, I'm so glad you asked, dear listener, because that is today's topic. We're talking about your relationship with PPP strategies, which is all about public speaking and different facets of it. Podcasting, presentations, and public relations. And Antoinette's going to dig into each of those different buckets and how they relate to your ability to grow your business, especially if you want to do it through public speaking, which doesn't necessarily mean you have to be on stage in front of thousands of people. It could just be you speaking at a networking event, you speaking to another human being. It could be anything that you want. All right, here we go with my interview with Antoinette Logan. Hello, Antoinette. Welcome to the Your Relationship With podcast.
Thank you for having me. How are you today?
Yes, I'm doing great. I'm so excited. I don't know the order that these are going to come out in, but recording wise, you're my second interview to record for this podcast. So it's very exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah, you're right there at the beginning. So tell us about you and a little bit about what you do.
Well, I am a creative, a consultant and entrepreneur that helps people expand their brands and businesses through branding, marketing, and sales and creative lead generation strategies. I own the AIM agency. We're a creative agency that focuses on brand development and lead generation. We take our clients from idea to brand, brand to business, business to elevation and profits, pretty much meeting you where you are to help you achieve your next level business goals. I also have the Iconic Speakers Network, which is a all-in-one speaker success toolkit to give you the tools and the power to globally expand your brand in as little as 90 days using our PPP strategies without having to hire a publicist or leave your home if you don't want to.
That's awesome. So that's a great segue into what today's topic is. We're talking about your relationship with PPP strategies. So for most people, unless they've been following you for a while, they might not know what that is. So tell us about PPP strategies.
Yes, PPP strategies are focused around public speaking. podcasting, presentations, and public relations. So using these things together will help you gain brand visibility, brand awareness, brand authority and credibility, and even put you in a better brand position as well.
Awesome. So is that something that people who are just starting out in business would want to get into? Or is that more something like, okay, I've started my business, here's how I take it to the next level?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. If I knew this from day one, I'd absolutely be doing it.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, you're not having to leave your home, right? You don't have to spend any money to do the actual steps. And you're reaching a global audience pretty much from day one.
Yeah, for sure. So can we dig into those strategies a little bit deeper one by one?
Sure.
All right. So tell me, the first one was public speaking, right?
Well, you're doing public speaking with all three of these things.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. So the first P is what?
Podcasting.
Podcasting. All right. So talk to me about podcasting and how that can help business owners who are just getting started or who just want to take their business to the next level. Are we talking like start your own podcast, be on other people's podcasts?
You got it. We're talking about being a guest on podcasts, sharing your message, your story, and your voice from your perspective directly to audiences who are already interested in the industry that you're in.
Yeah, I love
Literally.
that. Because then that gives you the opportunity to get in front of someone else's audiences, right? But based on the topic of the podcast, that the people who are listening are actually interested in what you're talking about, which is always good. Right. We want to be talking to people who want to hear what we have to say. And what are the other benefits of being a guest on someone's podcast?
Well, you're instantly gaining trust. You don't have to nurture them into trust because they already trust the podcast that they're listening to, that they listen to all the time. Yeah. So they already know that this is the thing that they do. They bring experts in this field. So if you're on this show, I know that I can learn from you. So you're already going to go surpass that trust factor iffy situation. They're tuning in, ready to listen and learn. On top of that, especially if you do a good job, now you're able to lead directly to a sale. You don't have to go through the freebies section, right? Because they already trust you. They already know that you know what you know. So they're able to, if they want your product and can't afford your product, they're able to go and get it right then and there.
Yeah, it's a great way to connect with people.
Absolutely. And then also with podcasts, it's different than radio, right? Because traditional radio is signal based in a certain area, right? Mm-hmm. Podcasts can be heard and seen everywhere around the world. It's instant global expansion if you do it right and you target it back to the product and the service and the business and all that good stuff. So it's definitely something I would do from day one.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I had a podcast before this one. I was a dating coach for women for 6 years before I switched into working with female entrepreneurs. And I had a previous podcast was called Love Starts Here. I produced about a little over 90 episodes, I think. And I remember when I first started it in the first couple months and getting downloads in like Nigeria and Scotland. And I think I got a download in Antarctica once. And I was like, what is happening? Like, it's such an awesome way to increase your reach just beyond the people that you may already be talking to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's the second PPP strategy?
Presentations.
Okay. And tell me about that.
Presentations is when you're actually public speaking and presenting in some way, whether it's on a stage virtually or physically, when you're presenting a specific topic to a specific audience and not more so like podcasting, but an actual event, a summit, conference, something. It could be a special event too, but something of that nature. Those opportunities are going to give you a big advantage over others because in most cases, like unlike a podcast is going to have hundreds and thousands of people constantly coming on it, right? Mm-hmm. But an event is only going to have so many people on that on the program, whether
Yeah.
it's a summit or a conference or whatever, so you're able to actually reach a particular audience again, right, that's interested in what you have to say. You're also able to show that you're the expert because you've got the floor, you're on the stage, even if it's virtual, you have the floor when you're presenting. And
Hmm.
then the flip side to the presentation part is how you present. Because if you actually have a presentation that speaks for you without you having to open your mouth, that sets you aside. And what I mean by that is, in Iconic Speakers Network, we have access to a technology that most people don't have access to. Our speakers are the only public speakers in the entire world that have access to this right now, right? And if you're booking for speakers on your event or something, right? And you put a speaker call out, everyone sends you their PowerPoint media kit, right? Or a
Hmm.
Canva slide or something like that. But then you get to mine. And when you open it, it's a link. You click that button. And when you open it up, it says, "Welcome, Melissa." You're like, oh, it knows my name. Oh, okay. This is personal, right? And
Yeah.
then it's talking to you. It reads you my bio. You get to control what you want to learn about me. You don't have to go through all the slides. You can do what you want.
Yeah.
So now that alone, the way that I'm presenting to you sets me aside from everyone else. You're going to remember me. You're going to see me as an expert. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to do business with me if what I have is something you need.
Yeah, because I've already been able to make a connection with you without you even doing anything, without us getting on a Zoom and having this conversation.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
awesome. That's great. And the third P?
Is public relations, which also is a direct connection to press releases. So, press release marketing is very important because it creates a paper trail for you, right?
Mm,
Not only does it create that paper trail of what you're doing, that paper trail acts as social proof. It also puts your business and brand in front of mass media, right? And then when they pick your stories up, now you're gaining instant authority and credibility because you're seen and recognized by brands and people that everyone knows. Then on top of that, it's putting you in a better position because not everyone is saying that they were on Fox or able to be on a published on Forbes or whoever it is.
yeah.
So it's like a no-brainer. Like doing press release marketing is setting you aside because not everyone is going to do it. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Yeah. And I think what's important about all three of these strategies is exactly what you just said about social proof, right? That ability for people who may not know you, they may be cold leads when they find you. Maybe they've never
Right.
seen you before in their life, but now all of a sudden
Right.
they're saying, oh, Antoinette was on this podcast. She spoke at this thing I was at last month. Now I see she's been featured in these publications. Now I'm starting to trust you more. Now I'm starting to really believe that positioning as an expert.
Yes, yes. And it's funny that you said publication because I may end up having to change the last P from public relations and just change it to publishing or publication because magazine publications, blog publications, all of that fits into the public relation section. It's just not a direct connection from a press release
Right.
because where when you do the publication with a mag or a blog, it's more direct contact. They're actually asking you questions, not just publishing your press release. But
Yeah.
that is very important also. It's
Yeah.
inside the Iconic Speakers Network. We do dive in. Inside of there, we give you a lot of resources and tools, the direct connections to these platforms, the contact email, phone number, and name, and to who you need to talk to, exactly what to say when you're reaching out to these people, pretty much a word for word template, where
Yeah.
you just fill in some blanks. And I even give you the screenshots and the words that I use to get me booked on more than 300 platforms. I literally, in less than 90 days, spoke on more than 300 platforms right from where I was. I didn't have to go anywhere. And I was speaking at Dubai and different places that had specific niched audiences, but it's a global thing. Anybody
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So on that note, tell us a little bit about your experience because you are the one who came up with the PPP strategies, right? This didn't come from somewhere else. So tell
Correct.
us about how the PPP strategies have impacted your business.
Well, I'll tell you this, the Iconic Speakers Network wasn't even a thing at first, right? I actually was going through a situation. My anchor client did not pay the bill. And because my anchor client was a friend, I was like waiting around. And the longer I waited, the bigger the I got into with bills and things. And I needed to figure out, I'm like, okay, I don't have time to go and try to nurture a new audience to get new clients. I need to go directly to people who need what I have and they're already ready to take action. And
Yeah.
the only way that I knew to do that was the power of the media. So it really changed the dynamic of everything that I've been doing. This happened in April. So I started in the beginning of May. And since then, I was nominated and selected and have received the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award.
So awesome.
And, I credit it to how much I've been in the media as far as like speaking and letting people know, hey, I exist. I
Yeah.
think that because if people don't know who you are and know the work that you're doing, how can they, connect with you or honor you or recognize you or any of those things to celebrate you, right?
Right.
So I definitely would say that it has had a major impact because my brand is definitely growing at a fast pace. Again, I have a whole new company that's getting ready to launch because of the things that transpired speaking on those 300 platforms. Now, Iconic Speakers Network isn't just a brand, it's going to be a whole business of its own. It's just a lot of great things that have come, magazine, publications, and I've already have been receiving press and things like that because I've
Mm-hmm.
done other stuff, but focusing on this particular strategy and using this strategy consistently, it's like it never stops. I'm doing an interview, 4 to 5 interviews a day.
That's
And
amazing.
I don't have to go and look for them.
Yeah.
They're looking for me now. So
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity to change the narrative for your business.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think that it's something that when women are first getting started in business, sometimes we don't think about when we're newer. We think, oh, I need the website, I need the funnel, I need the newsletter, I need the blog, right? Whatever the things are, whatever the thing of the day that the expert is telling us that we need. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm always telling my clients, like, how is anybody going to buy your stuff if they don't know that you exist? How is anyone going to sign up for your workshop if they don't know that you exist, right? It's great that you have
Right,
a website, but who's going to it? Because no one even knows that you exist. So these
right.
PPP strategies are really how you get yourself out there so that people do know that you exist, right?
Exactly. And the great thing about it is that you can do all of these things without the things that you just mentioned. So
Yeah.
when I was sending out information to people to get booked and stuff like that, I had 4 things. I had a almost 3-year-old media kit that hadn't been updated. I had a publication link. So one of the websites, one of the media platforms that published my press release, I would use a popular publication that most people have heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my headshot and my link tree. That's it. I didn't even send them my website. I sent a link tree that had my social media pages and stuff like that. And it had my books and things like that. So you don't have to have the website. You don't have to have a blog. Like you said, you don't have to have a bunch of stuff. You just need to have the right things and present it properly. Because when I sent those 4 things to these different organizers, hosts, and platforms, if those are the first 4 things they see about you, and though all 4 of those things match each other, it's branded properly, they're sold right then and there.
Yeah.
They probably won't even make it to your website because it looks good. You're ready to go. Let's go.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So everybody who's listening to this podcast who's like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have a website. I don't have a speaker one sheet. I don't have a sizzle reel. You don't need all the things, right?
Yep.
Just get yourself
Yep.
out there.
Yep. Now let's keep it real. The more you have that looks great, the better position you have. But
Sure.
if you do it right, you can do this without any of those things. If I didn't have a website at all and all I had was some basic stuff, what I would have to do is I would have my short bio ready to go. I would have a link tree that connects or something similar that because I don't get paid for that. I need to be an affiliate of them. That connects you to all my social media sites.
Uh-huh.
And if you're new, maybe you haven't invested in press yet. So maybe you haven't received any press publication. But what you could do is possibly get like a testimonial from somebody or a letter of recommendation from somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. This is things that you can do without money. And
Yep.
then a nice smiling headshot of yourself.
Yep.
And just with those 4 things, I'd send that if I
Yeah.
didn't have a website. Because truth be told, the whole time I'm doing all this and sending all this stuff out, my website was trash. It hadn't been updated. It needs to be fixed. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm hoping you don't go there anyway.
Right.
I'm going to make sure it's available, but I really don't want you to go there because it looks horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in 2022, I spoke on the biggest stage I've ever spoken on. And the night I was filling out that application, I realized, okay, my headshot is old. It doesn't even look like me anymore. So I set up my little tripod, my little ring light. I took my headshot myself. Everybody's like, oh my God, I love your new headshots. I'm like, I literally did that myself at 10:30 at night in my office. And they wanted some sort of like speaker reel or something. I'm like, I don't have that. So again, set up my little phone, recorded a video of myself talking, and landed the stage anyway. So
Amazing.
you can do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Similar thing. And the crazy thing, I speak all the time, but even I don't have a speaker reel.
Yeah.
I still don't have one, and I'm constantly speaking, but I'm not taking the time to turn it into a reel or, half the time I'm not even dressed in my profile of, my brand, right? The blazer and all that. We're at home.
Yeah.
We're working from Zoom. So do I really want to turn that into my speaker reel? That's like the thing that represents me? Not at all.
Right.
So it's still possible.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah. I love that. So before we wrap this up, what are your recommendations for people who are just wanting to get started with some of these PPP strategies, just wanting to get started with putting themselves out there in this way?
Literally have those 4 things. Get your bio, your short bio together, because if they don't know you, they probably don't want to read something really long and drawn out.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you hit your points, all the best things about you. Make sure your USP, your unique selling point, is detailed and highlighted in your short bio. Have a nice smiling photo, headshot of yourself. Like you said, you can do it at home with your own camera.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely get you some form of link in bio link that can hold all your things. And also make sure everything's branded. Do take the time to make sure. And when I say branded, I definitely tell people you do want to have an expert do your branding if you're not an expert. If that's not your thing, doing it yourself probably isn't the move. Yeah. But if you can't afford it, there are too many companies and templates and things out here that can get you started. And so that you do it right, use the KISS method. Keep it short and simple. Yeah. Don't think about a million colors. Focus on the things that speak for your business and brand, and make sure that those things that you're going to send out about you are all matching and branded, and get you a testimonial from someone you did work with, or a letter of recommendation from someone that may be powerful or influential, that knows you and can speak for your work. And that will do. Connect with organizers, people that are putting on events, connect with people who have podcasts. Doctors know doctors, podcasters know podcasters, Yeah. So that's a start. That's really the start.
Yeah.
The whole press release part, it's a little bit more difficult to do if you are a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you don't have anything guiding you. But if you didn't join the Iconic Speakers Network, which you should, because you won't have to do any guesswork, we take years off your research just by joining us. But if you don't do that, Google will be your best friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've run half my business off Google at least.
Okay. Okay.
So I will put all of that information of how people can contact you and get in touch with you, find out more about the Iconic Speakers Network. We'll put all of that in the show notes. So definitely reach out to Antoinette if you want to know more about these PPP strategies and how you can make them work for you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Antoinette. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor to be here with you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. I hope you loved it. And, I'm really curious if any of you actually listen this far into the podcast. I don't think I ever listened to the outro on any podcast I listen to. So I'm going to drop some important information to find out if you're listening. If you're listening to this podcast and you are interested in becoming a member of the Powerful Women Rising community, I'm going to give you a promotional code for $10 off your membership. And that code is going to be good for the duration of your membership. So you get that $10 off as long as you remain a member of the Powerful Women Rising community. So if you are ready to start growing your business in a way that is faster and simpler and way more fun than anything that you've tried before, if you are a heart-centered female entrepreneur and you want to learn how to do marketing and sales in a way that feels good to you and not sleazy and salesy and weird, and if you want to do it surrounded by a community of other women who are working just as hard as you and are just as dedicated to your success as they are to their own, then you definitely want to check out the Powerful Women Rising community. Click on the link in the show notes to learn more and complete your application. When you get to the payment, enter YRW listener, your relationship with listener, YRWLISTENER for your $10 discount. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.